Look at that smooth transition. How was that? Haven't done that before. How's it going? Welcome to The Rational Live. It's August 6th, 2021. I'm your host, David Dole. There is some fun stuff to get to today, of course. I will preview it in a second. Also, I was on Dystopian Times this week on the Humanist Report. That's his new weekly show. Had a great time on there with several other guests on this panel. It was very enjoyable. Go check out his channel for the full thing. I may even post some clips from it this weekend on my channel, but in lieu of that, go and watch the full thing on his channel. It is I love his show. It's fantastic. It's one of the few shows that really, at least on YouTube, that brings all these people together on a weekly basis, and we have discussions, and I find them very interesting. So check it out. Also, what else? Oh yeah, of course, support the show. therationalnational.com/join. That's the Patreon page. There's also links to that below the video, links to other ways to support me, PayPal, join on YouTube, super chats, all that stuff. So there you go. All right, let me give you a little preview of today. Here, I'll put the chat up as I do this. So, as I'll get to shortly, Jessica Cisneros is launching a campaign again, and I'll discuss that and show her new awesome commercial. Also, a new poll out in Canada shows that the vast majority of Canadians support a wealth tax, yet no party except for the NDP and the Greens, to be fair, I think they've mentioned it as well, are running on it, even though every voter almost in Canada supports it, but I'll get to that story later. Also, Elon Musk gets snubbed by Joe Biden. Just a great story for, drama purposes. There really is it's a story where you can just listen to it and laugh, but not much else to it there. Also, Trump gets triggered by the woke U.S. soccer team, despite the fact that Canada is arguably even more woke, and Canada won gold this morning, and I watched it. It was a fantastic match. It was right down to the wire, but I'll get to that in a bit. And of course, again, the return of the weekly wrap-up, several stories that I missed this week that I'll touch on briefly as well. All right, let me start with arguably maybe the most important story of the week, as this actually matters. So let me get started. After coming so close in the 2020 primary, Texas immigration attorney Jessica Cisneros is launching a new campaign to unseat Trump's favorite Democrat, Henry Cuellar. So I'm going to show you her new commercial she launched with. It is a fantastic commercial. And then I'll get to a little more on this race and just how close she came last time. But first, here is this campaign ad.
They said we had no chance. They said the patrones were just too powerful. They said change was impossible here. But we showed them that the dreams of immigrants, truckers, rancheros, and teachers can be just as powerful as their corporate dollars.
Now we're back to finish what we started, to do what my dad taught me.
Work hard, keep at it, y enseñar que la esperanza nunca muere. Over the past year, our community has suffered through this pandemic, waking up day after day, praying we wouldn't lose another family member or our jobs. And when we thought Congress would be the answer to our prayers, they ignored us. So I did what I knew I could. I kept fighting for South Texas families as a human rights attorney, helping families who couldn't afford lawyers navigate our broken immigration system. So what's Henry Cuellar done in the last year since he got reelected? He introduced anti-immigration bills with Republicans to further separate families. He was the only Democrat to vote in favor of corporate interests over protecting workers and strengthening unions. And he brought unusable, defective COVID-19 tests into Laredo. South Texas deserves a representative that's going to fight for our dreams as hard as we do. For Medicare for all, so families don't have to go to Mexico to afford basic health care. For immigrants' rights, because we don't want a wall or policies that tear our South Texas community apart. For reproductive health care, porque nuestras mamás, nuestras hijas, nuestras hermanas, our friends and family deserve freedom, dignity, and respect. I'm not taking a dime of corporate PAC money, because South Texas families deserve true representation. Mi nombre es Jessica Cisneros. I'm the proud daughter of immigrant farm workers, and I'm running for Congress. I'm ready to finish what we started. Are you? Join us.
What a wonderful ad. I am constantly amazed by just how incredible these ads are for these more progressive candidates. This was a fantastic one, beautifully shot. The messaging there was perfect, discussing Henry Cuellar and his failures, and also Jessica Cisneros and what she's running on. Just a perfect ad. And I want to give credit here to Jeremy Flood, who was the video producer on that ad. He said here, "I had the time of my life filming and directing this ad in South Texas. I can't wait to see Jessica Cisneros make history in Texas 28. Let's do this." So credit here to Jeremy Flood and his team for putting that together. Just, again, incredible ad. Now let's take a look at what happened last time. So this is why there was so much hope in this race this time. Last time, Jessica Cisneros barely lost. So Henry Cuellar, 51.8% to Cisneros at 48.2%. This is when Jessica Cisneros basically had, very little name recognition, relying completely on campaigning, on the ground support, on door knocking, on phone banking, and came so close to, again, beating Trump's favorite Democrat. And the reason he's Trump's favorite Democrat is because he voted the most out of any Democrat with Donald Trump. This is a guy who is incredibly, not even just pro-corporate, but he's basically a Republican disguised as a Democrat in a very deep blue district. But that gets us to potentially here one of the worries, which is the fact that the district is almost certainly going to be redrawn. So Politico here is saying the district is almost certain to change after Texas Republicans redraw congressional districts this fall. The 20th district sits in a danger zone for Democrats, hoping to maintain their hold on the heavily Latino and working class Rio Grande Valley. So it will likely be redrawn, but I still think there is going to be a solid shot here for Jessica, at the very least in the primary, for Jessica Cisneros. So we will see, a little farther out how that district will change. But keep this in mind. Cori Bush, 2018, ran against William Lacey Clay, lost 37 to 57%. In 2020, came back huge, defeating Lacey Clay 49% to 46%. So the biggest barrier oftentimes in these races with these more progressive candidates isn't their platform, isn't anything else. It's really the name recognition. So it's about the district being familiar with who the challenger is. So this is why, even if you lose the first time, it's important to run again. If you have a strong platform, if you know you have a connection to the community, if you can get boots on the ground, door knock, phone banking, and get financial support from small individual donors, then you will have a good shot if you run enough times, as your name will become more familiar, people will get to know you, and they're more likely to trust you, and the fact that you will actually, or they will believe that you actually will fight for your platform. So last thing here, Jessica Cisneros put out, this is shortly after she launched her campaign. The fundraising already in this campaign is shocking. So check out her message here.
Hey everyone, so today's been a super exciting day. This morning we started off with the announcement that we just launched our campaign for Congress to represent Texas 20th Congressional District here in South Texas. Now I have some even better news. So last cycle when we launched, we were able to raise $70,000 in 24 hours. Well, this time, thanks to amazing and incredible people power, we were able to raise $100,000 in less than 9 hours, which is absolutely wild. Now we're gonna up that up. Let's see if we can raise $150,000 through your help by the end of today. Can I count on you? Will you join us? Let's go ahead and do it.
So that's incredible. $100,000 in less than 9 hours. Already, it's very important from the beginning for these candidates to be able to raise enough money to be able to put their ads out, to be able to get volunteers out, and really run a campaign from the start to finish. So oftentimes what happens, with these more progressive challengers, a lot of the money doesn't really start rolling in till the end, and by then it's too late. So by Cisneros already having this massive haul at the beginning, it's really going to help her out. And just to end on here, her page, if you want to help her out, just go to jessicacisnerosforcongress.com. If you just look up her name, you'll find her webpage. And there you go. So this is going to be one of the races to watch in the next cycle. All right. There you go. That's that. Let's get to, I see a super chat here. Samantha Sider, thank you for your super chat. Biza Douglas says, thanks so much for picking up my Chantel fake applause story. TYT and Tim Black both aired very superficial segments and gave me zero credit. Well, no problem, Douglas. I mean, if you watch my channel, I always give credit to the people that at least I try to give credit to people that shoot the videos, that do the work, because I'm really just here as an educator. So I'm here to present the information, to educate people, but I want people to know, you know, who's actually on the ground doing the work, getting, whether it's you know, the story that you got, whether it's the creation of that ad I just showed you. So yeah, I love ensuring that people get credit. Lawn Gnomes says, like the Dystopian Times appearance, can't wait to see more interviews and collab pieces. If Trudeau gets a haircut, will you grow it out again? If Trudeau gets a hair, because you think no, I really don't care what Trudeau does. But it was funny to see people make the comparison to my hair to Trudeau. I don't think it was that similar. But no, it's gonna stay this length probably forever now. I tried long hair. It's too much work. I don't mind how it looks occasionally, but it's taking. This is the biggest issue for me. I love taking showers in the morning. I like to be clean, and having hair that long, it doubled the time I was in the shower. And when I have a lot of work to do and a child to take care of, I don't have time to be sitting in the shower for 10 more minutes. So I likely will never have my hair that long ever again. It was a moment in time to represent the pandemic. The pandemic is, knock on wood, for the most part, largely over, though there is a big jump today in Ontario in COVID cases compared to yesterday. But it's still among the unvaccinated, so, you know, I'm not all that worried, except for my son, who's too young to get the vaccine. But yeah, I'm never going to have my hair that long ever again. Mike H. says, what is a good retort to the wait time argument conservatives like to harp on about Canadian healthcare? Well, a good retort is to say that it's complete effing bullshit, because it's bullshit. There's no issue with wait times in Canada. The only, and I wouldn't even call it an issue, if you have a surgery, or if you want a surgery that is one that is not, you know, life-saving, say, I had a surgery that was, I guess, quasi-elective a few years ago. I don't want to give you the details because it's too personal for the internet, but it was something that I didn't have to get, but I wanted to get. And so the wait time for that was 3 months. Now, if I was super rich and I went to the US, I probably could have paid to get it done immediately, but it was 3 months. It wasn't life or death. I could wait. I waited 3 months and I got the surgery. But if you show up to the hospital and you're squirting blood, like, they're not going to, you know, put you on a list. Okay, come back in 3 months. No, you go in immediately and get the surgery. So this is the best retort. Healthcare in other countries is based on need. If you need it, you get it. Healthcare in America is based on wealth. So if you're super wealthy, you get whatever you want. If you're not, if you're the vast majority of people and you're just, you know, middle income or poor, then you either don't get healthcare, or you also have to wait, or you wait too long to get treatment to the point where the issue you have is now worse than it was before. So say for cancer, you know, a lot of people may feel like you know, a lump here or there and think, oh, it's not a big deal, I'll wait it out, because they don't want to go to the doctor too early and have to pay that you know, out of pocket for anything. So they'll wait it out, and then it becomes worse, and it is cancer, and now, you know, you have late stage cancer, and the treatment is, first of all, more expensive, but also you're more likely to die because you didn't get it treated early on. So there's the biggest issue with conservatives and discussing healthcare is just the amount of misinformation that's out there and having to deprogram them and educate them on reality. That's the biggest issue. And there is a lot of misinformation out there about universal healthcare when it comes to how conservatives think about it in the US. But also another thing you can say, no Canadian party is going to run on moving to an American healthcare system. If the Conservative Party came out tomorrow and said, and for this upcoming election that's very likely to happen this year, if they said, you know what, let's get rid of our single payer system, we want a private insurance-based healthcare system, they would lose every seat they have. Because even conservatives understand that our healthcare system is universal and, for the most part, fantastic. The only issues with our healthcare system is that it doesn't go far enough. So if you look at, there's a recent, actually, this was a discussion in Dystopian Times this week on Mike Figueredo's channel, where there's a new ranking out of healthcare systems, and Canada is, so the U.S. is last, of course. It's like 11 major countries. The U.S. is last, and Canada is second last. And the reason why we are second last is because even though we have single-payer healthcare, we don't guarantee dental, we don't guarantee pharmacare, we don't guarantee long-term care, we don't guarantee like retirement homes for the elderly. So there are serious gaps in our system that other countries in their universal systems don't have. So while we have issues with our system in Canada, the only issue is that it doesn't go far enough. Not that it's single-payer, is that our single-payer doesn't go far enough to cover more. But that's a lesson that Americans should learn when pushing for Medicare for all. But in the case of Bernie, has already learned, as Bernie's Medicare for all plan did go further than Canadian healthcare. Bernie's plan covers dental. It covers other aspects that the Canadian healthcare doesn't cover. So, yeah, a lot of misinformation about healthcare, which is why I try to discuss healthcare quite a bit. Where was I? Ben Shapeward says teachers in provinces that don't mandate vaccines for students and school staff should go on strike. Also, I've lost 14 pounds in just over 2 weeks. What? Well, is that on purpose or by accident? If you're trying to lose weight, then that's fantastic news. If you are sick and you're losing weight, then I'm sorry, that sounds terrible. But teachers in provinces that don't mandate vaccines for students and school staff should go on strike. I think that's a fair argument. Yeah. I mean, if I was a teacher, I would be freaking out a little bit with, kids under 12 can't get the vaccine, so a lot of them could be spreading COVID around. Then again, if you're a teacher and you're vaccinated, you're likely protected. It's just the issue of, say you have kids at home, maybe you're double vaxxed, maybe you get COVID from one of your students at school, but it doesn't really affect you. But then you go home and you have a kid under 12 there and it affects them. So that's the biggest worry right now is kids under 12 can't get the vaccine. So they're still at risk. And in some cases, I read I did a story on Arkansas this week and vaccines there. There are kids now in the children's hospital. The beds there are being filled up with kids that have COVID-19. So it is now, at least with the Delta variant, it's now impacting kids in a way that it didn't before. And that's, I think, the biggest worry at the moment. Ryan Nowicki says, as states look at Trump's taxes/crimes, do you think those prosecutions will lead to damaging Trump's 2024 run, or will it just help raise more funds? It only, I think, damages him if legally he can't run because of it. So if those, if that goes anywhere, then yeah, I think it would damage him. But ultimately, no. Nothing will hurt Trump unless he legally cannot run for president. There's nothing, I don't think anything that he can do or say that will hurt him. And I think we saw that in his 4 years. Okay. Prep the next story, so I will be right back. back now with the next story. There was a super chat I wanted to discuss. There we go. Nope Ninja, thank you for your very generous super chat. Much appreciated. All right, I'll get to others after this next story. My hair now. It's not as hard to manage as my long hair, but still. All right. With Canada very likely on the verge of a new election this year, a new poll shows that Canadians want the wealthy to pay more in taxes. So this from David Coletto at Abacus Data, saying here that 89% of Canadians support a wealth tax, including a majority of Liberals, NDP, Bloc Québécois, Conservatives, and Green Party supporters. So let's take a closer look here. In fact, maybe I will get out of the way so we can take a closer look. I just realized my voice was not working while I'm in that mode. Well, we'll just do it this way. I'll have to cut this in editing. All right. So taking a look here, the first one says closing tax loopholes used primarily by the wealthy to lower their overall income tax rate. So you see here 92% support overall for that. Make it harder for corporations to strategically book profits in tax havens when no economic activity happens there, 92%. And a wealth tax paid by the richest Canadians every year. For example, those who have wealth greater than 20 million pay a tax of 1% on their total wealth. By the way, that's the NDP proposal. This could generate 7 billion in new revenue every year. 89% support. So this is the kind of thing where, you would see these numbers and maybe assume that, well, it's so popular, obviously, that I guess every single party right now is competing to have the best wealth tax. But of course, that is not the case. So right now, you really only have the NDP in terms of the major parties fighting for this. So this recent headline here from July 15th, Singh waves off one-time wealth tax, demands ongoing tax on the ultra-rich. So this is, as I said, this is Jagmeet Singh's proposal, 1% on 20 million every year. And I think that's really the bare minimum. So we are talking about people who can absolutely afford to pay more. Looking at wealth is a much better way to tax as opposed to looking at income. So you have here a proposal that I think is fantastic, but obviously there are many issues at play when it comes to how Canadians vote. So wealth tax is just a minor part of it, but also worth noting here, these numbers are up from last year. So last year, support for a wealth tax was at 75%, and now it's 89%. That's a massive jump. And also, just to be clear here, in that poll from last year, 69% of Conservative Party voters in 2019 either strongly support or support a wealth tax of 1 to 2% on Canada's wealthiest people. So 69% of Conservative Party voters support a wealth tax. I imagine that number now is higher with this larger overall number. So this is something that all voters, of course, want. But because you have the two major parties really more servicing corporations and the wealthy and pretending to, placate the middle class and the poor, they're not going to fight for this. Last thing here, I was pleasantly surprised by this poll. So this is from Angus Reid, leader favorability rating among, and so while I was reading this tweet, I figured each leader would be different, and it's not. So Jagmeet Singh, NDP leader, is surprisingly at the top in favorables in every demographic. So 18 to 34, 57%, 35 to 54, 46%, and 55 plus, 39%, Singh at the top of them all. Now, of course, this doesn't really translate into seats. We don't vote for our prime minister here the way that Americans vote for the president. You vote for your party, you vote for your member in your riding. So this doesn't necessarily translate into support. I mean, it definitely doesn't. We're going to see if an election happens this year. NDP are not going to win a majority. But you still see here strong support for Singh, which at the very least, I think is a good sign for the NDP potentially picking up seats if there is an election called this year. So again, we're going to have to keep a closer eye on all this. But at the very least, it's obvious that Canadians want a wealth tax. All right. There we go. I'll have to add my mic to the full screen image. It was a good thing I caught that. Otherwise, I would have been there for 2 minutes talking about that poll and nobody would have heard anything. All right. Let me go to break and prep the next story. All right, I'm back now. I saw a super chat. Let me grab that. Kira M says, "Hi, David, Masters of Public Health student here. What is your opinion on the federal government mandating COVID-19 vaccines to increase vax rates?" I have no issue with it. Don't we already mandate other vaccines? I mean, I don't know. People find issues with, like, I understand the worry that maybe one day you'll have somebody completely insane in power that wants to, give you a vaccine that's going to turn you into a mutant or something. I guess that's possible. But in terms of mandating vaccines, at least on an individual basis, I am perfectly fine. I think they should be mandated. I think it's important. This is how we eliminate disease and, these viruses. We get everyone to get the vaccine, and that's what we do. Law Gnome says, thoughts on COVID booster shots? I think they're a way for pharma to cash in on a captive audience instead of getting them out to the other countries who don't even have access to dose number 1. Yeah, I agree with you there. I think the focus right now needs to be on vaccinating the world with, the first dose or the first 2 shots, I guess, before we get into discussing a third shot. I'm not against if the science shows that we need a booster shot, sure, whatever. But how about right now the focus is on eliminating these variants? And to do that, you have to ensure that places where COVID is still mutating, in these areas that don't have the vaccine, get those people vaccinated to eliminate the potential for new variants that can render the current vaccines ineffective. That should be the focus right now. And of course, the TRIPS waiver is at the center of that. I've discussed that a number of times. And you have the UK's, even though Biden now is in favor of the TRIPS waiver, you still have Canada, the UK, and I think Germany in the way of it. It's just it's so frustrating because, our power is so limited there. You have these governments basically in cahoots with big pharma and not allowing the world to get the vaccines as quick as possible. Okay. Let me do this story. President Joe Biden snubbed Tesla CEO Elon Musk at a White House event for electric cars. And while, of course, I have endless criticisms of Joe Biden, their reason for not inviting Elon Musk and Tesla is absolutely wonderful. So I'll get to that in a bit. But first, the White House held this event to announce a goal of 50% zero emission cars by 2030. Car makers including Ford, GM, Stellantis, which is Jeep, Chrysler, and Dodge, and the United Auto Workers Union showed up, but not Tesla. So Elon Musk made this vocal on Twitter in response to this tweet that said, "Will the White House exclude Tesla, the most American-made EV, from its EV event?" Elon Musk replied saying, "Yeah, it seems odd that Tesla wasn't invited." Well, we have a little answer here from Jen Psaki, press secretary at the White House. Here is how she responded to this.
And the founder of Tesla, Elon Musk, expressed surprise that he was not invited to this ceremony because his company is obviously such a large manufacturer of electric vehicles. Can you give us any insight into why Tesla wasn't included in this event?
Well, we, of course, welcome the efforts of all automakers who recognize the potential of an electric vehicle future and support efforts that will help reach the president's goal. And certainly, Tesla is one of those companies. Today, it's the three largest employers of the United Auto Workers and the UAW president who will stand with President Biden as he announces his ambitious new target. But I would not expect this is the last time we talk about clean cars, the move toward electric vehicles, and we look forward to having a range of partners in that effort.
So it's not because Tesla is a non-union shop?
Well, these are the three largest employers of the United Auto Workers, so I'll let you draw your own conclusion.
All right. I don't know why she couldn't just come out and say, yes, that's the reason. But there you go. It's obvious that Tesla wasn't invited because they are not unionized. The absolute best reason not to invite Elon Musk to an event. So it's not even just the fact that they're not unionized. It's that Elon Musk is actively a union buster. So examples here, this from the New York Times. Tesla employees firing and Elon Musk tweet on union were illegal, labor board rules. So this is from this year, I believe. March 25th, 2021. But it's upholding a ruling from, I believe, 2019. So more on this from New York Times here. So the National Labor Relations Board on Thursday upheld a 2019 ruling that Tesla had illegally fired a worker involved in union organizing, and that the company's chief executive, Elon Musk, had illegally threatened workers with the loss of stock options if they unionized. The board ruled that the worker, Richard Ortiz, must be reinstated with back pay, and that Mr. Musk must delete his tweet. The company must also post a notice committing not to violate labor law in the future and announcing that it will undertake the mandated remedies. Now, it's worth noting here, first of all, it's unclear if Richard Ortiz was rehired and given back pay. I haven't seen any reporting to that. But also, if this is a link to his tweet, it may be. His tweet is still up. So, I'm not sure if I can find it here. But I saw it in another piece. That tweet that he's supposed to be taking down is still online. So I'm not sure, in terms of how they can make him delete a tweet, but they ruled that he should delete this tweet. Point being, though, he's an active union buster, and this is the reason not to invite him. There's also stories going back to, this is 2018, I think, discussing this. Tesla workers speak out. Anything pro-union is shut down really fast. Elon Musk has said he is neutral about a union, but former employees blame their firing on their efforts to organize, while current workers say a culture of fear persists. So this has been an issue at Tesla for quite a while. And as I said, of course, I have endless criticisms of Joe Biden. He could be doing a lot more right now to strengthen unions. Most importantly, doing everything in his power to push the PRO Act through. But at the very least, this snub was a nice gesture. All right. I should mention, in typical Biden fashion, it's all about appearances and performance. So, yeah, great gesture here to not invite Elon Musk. But when it comes to actually helping and strengthening unions, Biden really isn't doing anything right now. All right, let me do what? If there's chats, I'll grab them. If not, I'll go to break to prep the next story. But I see here, Gina McGrath says, "Hey, David, been pretty down about Nina Turner's loss this week, and I'm wondering if you think the left should have their own super PACs to combat against the corporate ones." The issue with this is a hard question because on one hand, if somebody wants to give unlimited money to a candidate that is going to weaken the power of corporations and the wealthy, then sure, why not? But at the same time, if you open yourself up to super PACs, then you can no longer claim that you are free from dark money. So I don't think progressives, at least in congressional races, I don't think they need it. When it comes to Senate races, it's a lot tougher to win those races. And has there been one progressive primary of a Democrat in a Senate race? I don't believe so. So maybe, I don't know. I think it makes more sense. We've seen victories without super PACs, so there's no need to really bring them in now. And again, I think it hurts the credibility, which is the biggest reason not to do it. At the same time, as I said, if someone wants to give you a shit ton of money to raise taxes on the wealthy, all right, then go ahead, do it. But no, I think it's more important to stay clear of dark money. I mean, you saw the victories. AOC, Jamal Bowman, Cori Bush, others that I'm forgetting now. But Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, these candidates have won without needing that money. Bernie Sanders almost became the Democratic nominee twice without needing that. So I don't think you need that. The one benefit I would say, at least in the Chantel Brown Turner race, is that Chantel Brown was able to hit Nina Turner with negative ads without needing her name tagged at the end of it, because they were from outside groups that were funding those negative ads. So this is the one thing with negative ads, that sometimes it has the potential to hurt the candidate that's putting them out there, especially if they attach their name to it. So Nina Turner had negative ads on Chantel Brown, which were all completely accurate. They were fair ads discussing how Chantel Brown had gave away contracts, public contracts to a company connected to her boyfriend, $17 million worth, was taking GOP money, was taking, of course, corporate money. But then at the end of the ad, it says, "I'm Nina Turner and I approve this message." And that may turn people off knowing who the ad's from. I don't know, but I'm not sure if there's data around that. But there's also no real data to show that negative ads work, even though I think we all know they do, at least when they're targeted in a certain way, especially around policy. So, there could be a potential benefit to having a negative ad where your name isn't at the end of it. But ultimately, we've seen candidates win without these PACs, so there's no need to bring them in. All right, let me prep the next story. right. This story's fun. Fun. Let me get to it. Donald Trump slammed the U.S. women's soccer team for being too woke to win the gold medal, despite the fact that Canada's gold medal team is arguably even more woke. So first, let me get to Trump's statement, which is laugh out loud hilarious. He said here, if our soccer team headed by a radical group of leftist maniacs wasn't woke, they would have won the gold medal instead of the bronze. Woke means you lose. Everything that is woke goes bad, and our soccer team certainly has. There were, however, a few patriots standing. Unfortunately, they need more than that respecting our country and national anthem. They should replace the wokesters with patriots and start winning again. The woman with the purple hair played terribly and spends too much time thinking about radical left politics and not doing her job. Now, in terms of the politics of the woman on the soccer team, I don't know what their politics are. Who cares? And we'll get to some reasons why Trump is acting this way. But when I think about politics as a whole, I think about, economics. How do they feel about, are they socialists? I highly doubt that the entire team is a bunch of socialists. That'd be nice. I don't think they are, though. But you have here Trump getting angry that they are quote unquote woke. And he pinpoints here the girl with the purple hair, who is Megan Rapinoe, who scored two goals in the bronze medal game, including a goal from the corner. So scoring a goal in a corner kick during a corner kick is incredibly tough to do. That takes amazing skill. And this is the person that he claims is played terribly. All right, but let's get to, first of all, why Trump feels they are so woke. So before losing to Sweden in the opening round of the Tokyo Games, breaking their 44-match win streak, the U.S. women have kneeled for racial justice, sued their ownership for equal pay and sexist discrimination, and actively protested their owners on the field. They won the 2019 World Cup in the midst of all this. So they are very woke, apparently, for standing up for equal pay and racial justice. This is just basic humanity, but apparently too woke for Trump. Well, if that's too woke, Canada this morning won gold. I watched the game. It was great. And Canada, I think, is clearly just a little more woke. So as NBC writes here, so too are the teams that made it to the gold medal game. The Canadian national team and Tokyo gold medalist has been outspoken in supporting Quinn, their non-binary teammate who will be the first openly trans athlete in Olympic history to win any medal. They too have kneeled in support of racial justice, and the team has begun using the hashtag CanXNT, dropping the W to be inclusive of Quinn. Players also wore transgender flag armbands during their scrimmage games. So Canada has a non-binary member of their team, Quinn here. Adam Millington writing here, Canada win and Quinn becomes not only the first trans Olympic medalist, but the first trans gold medalist. So incredible victory here for Team Canada and for Quinn. And I would argue Canada a little more woke than Americans. So apparently woke does not mean you lose. In fact, if Americans were a little more woke, maybe they would have won the gold medal game. All right. There's your fun story for the day. Now, this weekly wrap up, a lot in the wrap up this week. So I will get to that right now. Be right back. right, this wrap up this week is actually not that long. It's a respectable length. Sometimes I pack too many stories into this segment, and then it becomes a big mess. I want to make sure I'm not missing one here, though. No, we're good. All right. So this is the last segment, and then I'll take super chats and normie chats, and we can talk for a bit before I go. It is time once again for the weekly wrap-up. This is the segment where I go over stories that I may have missed this week, but go over them sort of quickly, just to give you the top line on what went on that I did not get to cover. So let's first start with this bit of news here. So this from Lauren Cori Bush, who tweets out, Amazon warehouse workers at JFK 8 in Staten Island say they have signed more than 1,000 Amazon labor union authorization cards and formed a giant worker committee. Next week, they will hold a press conference on their efforts at JFK 8 with AOC and Mondaire Jones. This is incredible news, and as I said, during the Bessemer, Alabama unionization effort at the warehouse at Amazon there, they were going to inspire others to follow through. And Staten Island, my understanding is they are a very pro-union district area. So we will see if this effort is a little more successful than the one in Bessemer. Then again, as I covered this week, there's going to very likely, but not certainly, but likely be a second vote in the Bessemer, Alabama unionization effort, as the first one, it was discovered through the National Labor Relations Board and investigations that Amazon clearly was engaging in union busting efforts that went against labor law. So there's going to be possibly a second vote in that one, but this is also one that we're going to have to keep an eye on. Next bit of news here, Real Tim Black summarizes the Politico article below, saying that Nina Turner won 5 of Cleveland's 9. So as I covered this week, Nina Turner lost, unfortunately, in some ways shockingly, lost the primary race in the special election against Shontel Brown for Ohio's 11th district. But that said, it's clear where Nina's support was. So as Real Tim Black writes, Nina Turner won 5 of Cleveland's 9 black wards and lost 4, all of them narrowly by less than 2 points. She won the city of Cleveland overall, as well as the black majority city of Akron. Nina Turner lost the middle-class white burbs vote, just like on Twitter. So Nina Turner won the working class. Anybody trying to claim that Nina Turner wasn't left enough, or because she associated herself with AOC, that's how she lost. By the way, if you haven't seen those takes, then don't worry. They're only on Twitter with very small audiences, and those people are completely insane. But it's obvious Nina Turner won the working class vote. The issue, of course, the biggest issue in this race was, I think, the attack ads against Nina Turner. There was so much money poured into the race from the Democratic Majority for Israel and corporations that back Shontel Brown and Republicans that back Shontel Brown, that they had these attack ads out attacking Nina Turner on everything, also pretending she was against issues like universal health care and immigration reform and raising wages when she is for those issues, but they put out pamphlets pretending she was against them. And on top of that, they used a quote from hers before, I think this is back during the 2020 primary, where Nina Turner said that voting for Trump versus Biden is like, I think I'm paraphrasing here, but it's like eating half a bowl of shit versus eating a whole bowl of shit. So the half a bowl of shit being Biden, whole bowl of shit being Trump. She was basically making an argument for harm reduction. But unfortunately, they played that again and again and again in this district, in this race, attacking Nina Turner, claiming that look how anti-Biden she is, basically trying to frame her as almost a Republican, and that ended up hurting her. So that's, I think, the biggest issue in that race, but it's good to see that the working class was with Nina. Next bit of news here. So from Ken Klippenstein says, support for a universal vaccine mandate. Democrats, 84%. Republicans, 45%. Americans in general, 64%. These are very encouraging numbers. So, we're still seeing, especially in some red states, very low vaccination rates. And that's leading to massive increases in COVID-19 in those states, including with children. I covered a story in Arkansas where now a children's hospital is filling up with kids that have COVID-19. But when you poll people as a whole in America, the majority want to see a vaccine mandate. So people understand, the majority of people understand the importance of having the vaccine and eliminating this virus. Next one here is from Kristen Mink says Cori Bush's spontaneous speech to supporters after news broke that we won. So this is about, as I covered this week, Cori Bush's protest in front of the Capitol building that after 5 days actually pushed the Biden administration to extend the eviction moratorium by, I believe, 60 days for 90% of the country. So check out this speech. Cori Bush is an incredible communicator. Watch this speech that she gave right after that news broke. And for the live audience, let me do this full screen for you.
You don't have to have a big name and a big title. You don't have to have big money. But big courage takes you a long way. Big purpose takes you a long way. So, out of this, you just saw what happens when regular, everyday folks step up. I saw it happen in Ferguson after 400 days of brutality, of harassment, of intimidation. But we are here. So when you walk away from this spot, you have just entered a new place. There is a new fire in every single person that's out here right now. Every single one of you. Every one of you. And so you take what you have, and now you gotta go share it. You gotta go share it, because that's how we change our world. So you just got something. You received a gift today. You received a gift. Now, be accountable to that gift and go love on the world. Go love on the world with everything you have.
So just an incredible speech. I mean, God, Cori Bush is such a fantastic communicator, and that effort got a victory. You know, when you have a minority in Congress, so the Progressive Caucus, I forget their exact numbers, but in terms of the ones that truly care about issues like, you know, Medicare for all, raising wages, eviction moratoriums, the numbers are somewhere between like 12 and 20. It's clearly not enough to push, you know, an entire bill through, but this is the kind of thing you have to resort to. So, you know, one of the ways that you see right now the Just Democrats in Congress are using their power is by saying they will vote against the bipartisan infrastructure bill unless the budget reconciliation bill that has all of the actual benefits for Americans, unless that passes first. So they're right now using their power as a voting bloc to say, we're not going to vote for this bipartisan infrastructure bill unless the progressive bill gets passed first. That's great. That's one strategy they can use. This is another one. Getting out there, protesting, criticizing the Biden administration for not doing enough. I mean, the reason why this eviction moratorium ended is the fault of Democratic leadership. That's why Democrats are in power. It's their fault that this expired. So you see here the progressive members pissed off that they did not, that leadership did not do enough or didn't do anything in terms of extending the moratorium. And this is what they have to resort to, going out there, protesting, getting people involved. And after 5 days and 4 nights, Biden administration had to extend the moratorium. Next thing here. Also Cori Bush. So it's a big week for Cori Bush. This, let me just play this video. This is a family here thanking Cori Bush for her work to extend the eviction moratorium.
I'm just so fortunate right now. This is beyond me. You don't understand. Like, when I put that up, I never thought that anybody would have reached out, especially CNN, and then to hear that a congressperson, my story reached you. This is just amazing. I'm so thankful for that. There's people like you out there. I'm so thankful for it. Thank you so much. I'm sorry.
Kelly, you and your family.
Excuse me.
No, you and your family deserve representatives that care about you. Our country deserves to have representatives that represent. And so this is the least that we can do for you, is to step up and make sure that you get to stay in the safety and the comfort of your home while we work on other things to help make sure that your life and the lives of your children are better. This is our work. So you don't even have to thank us. This is our work. This is the least we can do for you.
So what do you say to that? I mean, Cori Bush has been homeless. She knows what it's like. And I think having that perspective, that experience brings so much to Congress. You know, you don't have to have had that experience to be able to fight for people who are homeless, but it does bring a much needed perspective where the vast majority of Congress are, you know, incredibly wealthy. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, I forget her net worth now, but she owns incredible real estate that is worth tens of millions. And she's one of the ones that allowed this eviction moratorium to expire. By the way, Democrats, a couple weeks before that happened, they got a big donation from I forget exactly who it was, but it was a landlord that had a vested interest in ensuring that the eviction moratorium ended. So, you know, those interests, that money is always going to be at play. But that's why it's so important to have fighters like Cori Bush in there that stand up for the average person. Last thing here. Of course, I got to end on some vaccine stuff because this is still very important for people to understand. But this from Vice News. Unvaxxed COVID patient posts videos from ICU begging people to get the shot. So this is 7 minutes long. I'm not going to play it. I'll link to it below the video on YouTube. You can watch the video, but you can understand what it is. This is a guy who is, dying. He has COVID-19. It's serious. He's breathing oxygen, and he's telling people to get vaccinated. How many stories have you seen like this now? I covered one this week. A Republican, his last post on Facebook, this is a Republican official in Texas, his last post on Facebook was mocking vaccines. 5 days later, he died from COVID-19. There have been multiple stories like this. People that are anti-vax ending up in the ICU. The reason why there's been so many stories like this is because that's who's ending up in the ICU. You look at any numbers, any state, the vast majority, 97, 98% of people ending up in the hospital with COVID-19 are unvaccinated. You know, the reason I keep discussing this is because I hope the unvaccinated wake the hell up. And it's not even just for them, it's for the people who can't get the vaccine, for kids under 12. If you have a child under 12, you have to worry now every time you go out in public that they may get COVID-19 from someone who's a dipshit. And that's an issue. So get vaccinated. You're seeing now numbers increase because people who are unvaccinated are getting hit with the Delta variant that is incredibly transmissible. The only proper way to protect yourself is first, yes, talk to your doctor, but also look at the science, look at the data, and get the vaccine. Okay, that's that. By the way, YouTube is so stupid. My story yesterday on that guy that Republican that got COVID after being anti-vax got demonetized. They called it harmful. And I've done other stories on the same issue. They were never touched. YouTube had no issue, but apparently, for some reason, that video it's so inconsistent, and YouTube creator support is just garbage. All right. Let me grab some chats here. I'm seeing some chats. Prairie Fire says, in some positive news, with grain prices improving to 7-year highs, there is a good chance that the rural vote in the Midwest will not be as motivated. Could have good midterms if Dems message this right. Oh, well, if Dems message this right is doing some heavy lifting in this super chat. I think you're right, though. If they have the ability to message this correctly, they could be successful. I think you make a good point there. But obviously, you know, messaging is one of the Democrats', at least leadership, one of their big weaknesses. Michael Cuomo says there's a chance that Brown could go to prison, which would open the Ohio's 11th district again. Great irony if that actually happened. Yeah, well, she is facing a felony ethics probe. Now, she's still facing it, potentially. She's not currently engaged in an ethics probe. So there's a lot of ifs before she ends up in prison. I feel like that's very unlikely. Just because of the way that the system operates, it always favors those in power, those with wealth. So I would be shocked if anything actually came out of that. But if it did, well, you break the law. That's what happens. 10 Law Gnome says, don't forget to join the Discord, which I can't link in Super Chat. Also, the Persona 5 speedrun record is 15 hours, 6 minutes, 15 seconds. Get the fuck out of here. How there has to be 15 hours of just dialogue. Like, I guess you can skip a lot of the dialogue, but that's... So I think that this is in reference to, on Twitter last night, I posted that Persona 5, which is a video game, in case you don't know, a video game, that is too long. I'm now over 100 hours in. I thought I was at the end of the game 20 hours ago. Now I'm still in this goddamn game. I now know because I looked it up. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore, how long this game was going to last. I looked up to see how far I was. Now I'm actually near the end game. But I'm over 100 hours in. I've been playing it since November of last year, I think. It's too long. I'm sorry. It's a great game, but if it ended 50 hours ago, I would like the game even more. It's too long. You can't have a game 100 hours for someone that has a child. You can't do that. I mean, it's not fair. It's ridiculous. All right. Also, in terms of the Discord, can I link it? Let me open the Discord, which admittedly I have not done in quite a while. Just don't have all that much time anymore, unfortunately. Oh, hold up. This is whole process to log into the Discord. And then I will grab more chats. Just give me a second. All right. Once I log in, I will link you all to the Discord. And come, have a good time. There are mods there, so if you want to be a piece of shit, then you'll be removed. But I think we're pretty safe on that front. Invite people. Here we go. All right, I will post this in the chat right now. That is the Discord link. Come, join, have a chat. Paulus Plain says, by the way, if you are a patron if you're a patron, you connect that to your Discord, to the Discord account, and then you have like a nameplate on there. So become a patron. Or join on YouTube. That also helps out. Paulus Plain says, so unionized ICE car manufacturers are in the room making environmental policy is good? Wait, what? Unionized ICE car manufacturers. I don't know what that means. Making environmental policy is good. Unionized Tesla, the only pure EV car manufacturer outside of the room. Good? Is this a coherent thought? I'm not really sure what you're even saying. I don't think ICE makes their own cars, first of all. So I'm not sure what that refers to. I'm not really sure what you're saying here, sorry. Mary Clam, thank you for your super chat. Much appreciated. All right, let me grab some normies. Dave L says, P4 was too long. It's a TV series more than a game. Persona 5 is the only Persona I have played, and I can say I will probably never play a Persona game again because it's too long. Though I'll look into Strikers. If Strikers isn't 100 hours, I'm not even sure what that's about. I think it's not even really an RPG, is it? But I'll look into Strikers. But I'm probably going to jump into the Final Fantasy VII Remake after I beat Persona. I don't think that one's... I think that's like 50 hours from what I'm hearing. What is this? Christina says, thanks, David, for not being a sellout. No aunt, come to America. Stay in Canada. You'd regret it. It's not as great as people claim. I think you're saying don't come to America. Stay in Canada. I don't plan to move to America. Though at one time I did. But there's too much work involved with immigration and getting a green card and all that, or getting a visa. It's not worth it. Super Mario Strikers. That's not what I was talking about, but that would be a great, absolutely great game to return to Nintendo's lineup, I think. Oh, I stands for internal combustion engine. So the person that was... Let me go back to the super chat then. Just use full words. It makes it easier. So unionized, because, so to go back to your super chat, the issue, like this was, I discussed this when discussing the coal strikers. There are people who are coal workers who are striking. They showed up in New York for a big rally to protest BlackRock, who is one of the big investors into their coal company. And I stood up with them, even though I think coal is probably not something we need to continue investing in, and we need to move to renewable energy. I think there's still some use for coal that we may need. I was reading a bit about that, but because it's about standing up for the working class. We're not like in the transition to renewable energies. We have to ensure the working class is being taken care of. That includes whether it's job retraining, whether it's full pay for 5 years, or in the job they're in right now. I don't want unionized workers to be out of a job because we're moving to renewable energy. I want them to be taken care of through full pay and retraining for 5 years. That was in Bernie Sanders' plan. Or if someone else has a better plan, then we'll look at that. But so, yeah, I don't. When it comes to criticizing Elon Musk and Tesla, I mean, their union busting efforts really is my only main criticism of him. Of course, you know, he has a massive ego and he's weird, but I could put all that aside. I can't put aside union busting and you basically taking credit for what your workers do for you. So that's my biggest issue and really my only real issue with Elon Musk and Tesla. All right. I'm liking all the gaming chats in here. This is great. I'm going to scroll up, though. I feel like we're alienating a large group of people who don't play games. Though I have considered merging my once Twitch content onto here and just gaming on YouTube, like once a week or something. I'm looking for a chat that I can respond to, in case you're wondering. I've scrolled up, so I'm not even looking at what's on screen. Maybe I should look at what's on screen. Crop says, I think UBI is something that is very important when discussing moving fossil fuel workers to other professions. I think UBI is something to consider, but it's not going to be enough. There needs to be specific help for those workers, for blue collar workers that are in those fields. Do you think there should be a standard charging system for all EVs? Yes. In fact, this is the main reason why I did not get or why I don't have an EV. The infrastructure just is not there. So the one thing Tesla has that no one else has is they have the infrastructure. They have, my understanding is they have the most charging stations. They have them, all over the highway. Whereas everything else, like if you don't own a Tesla, it's all like, patchwork system, and it's really not good. From what I've seen, I've watched a lot of reviews on this, a lot of discussions, and there is the infrastructure for EVs right now is terrible. So unless you own your own home, have a garage where you can have your own EV there, and you only drive within like a 20-kilometer radius, then you're probably fine. But for people that want to go on road trips, for those that live in an apartment building that don't have a charging station where they park and have to go somewhere like in a public spot to park and charge their EV, it's a huge issue. So they really have to fix the infrastructure and standardize it before they expect EVs to really be, the prominent form of transportation. And by the way, obviously missing this whole conversation is a discussion on public transit and investing into that. Rachel Atwood says, your hair, where'd it go and when's it coming back? The hair is gone. It went and it's not coming back. It was too much to take care of. Can't keep it. Mary Clam, did I thank you for your super chat? I forget. If I didn't, then thank you. Scrolling up here. Winston says, did you see that Connor Lamb is trying to prevent John Fetterman from being senator? I didn't see that, and I haven't followed that race at all, actually, since he announced. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. All right, I'll stay for maybe till 5. A few more minutes. C. Spartan says the music in Persona 5 is so good, though. It is pretty good. I thought it would bother me by now, but it's some songs I'm not as into. But I like I don't know what it's called, but there's like one chill tune that plays often when you're just walking around. I like that song. Black Hawk says they just beat Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 7 like a week ago. For some reason, I stopped midway through the Resident Evil 2 remake. And I think it's the same reason I always stop playing horror games. It just freaked me out. So I stopped playing it. Though I do want to finish Resident Evil, is it 7 or 8? The one that Village, the one that came out. I think it's 8. Or maybe that's 7. I don't even know. But I want to beat that game. Because it seems like something that I could actually beat. And not be too terrified of. Lawn Gnome says government pressure bribe on Tesla, which uses the standard plug outside of North America, means it'll be making an adapter and opening its network to non-Teslas sometime next year. Oh, okay. If that's the case, then good. Yeah, because it always seemed, I mean, before I ever got too deep into researching any of this, I had just assumed that you could charge any EV at a Tesla station, but apparently you can't. So it's good they're going to change that. It's ridiculous to make that just for Teslas. I mean, I get it from a corporation standpoint. You want to encourage people to buy Tesla, but in terms of just the amount of stations they have, it's important to ensure that you don't have to buy a Tesla to drive an EV and get around. Oh, I hate Mr. X. Mr. X in Resident Evil 2 is the worst. I think that's why I stopped playing. Thought that guy was dead like 3 different times and he kept coming back. It's like, you know what? I'm taking a break from this. It's too stressful. Like, this is why I don't like horror movies either. Like, normal life is scary and stressful. Why do I want to experience stress through my entertainment? I don't really understand that. Rachel Atwood says it's been 2 weeks since I got my second Sputnik shot. Congratulations! That means you should now be protected. Gee Studio says been playing Persona 5 since last Xmas and I'm just a little over 25% finished. Strikers is a hack and slash Dynasty Warriors type game. Oh, okay. Well, in that case, I'll likely watch some reviews and then decide if I'm going to grab it. Because I'm typically not really into Dynasty Warrior games, but I mean, if it's done well, then maybe it's worth it. Since I got you all here, I want to show you a clip from the discussion this week on Dystopian Times. Because this was a really good moment, a really good anecdote that was shared here. I want to share it with you if I can find the link. we go. So this is Donna Imam, who ran in Texas, won her primary, and then ended up losing in the general. But here she gave a very encouraging, I think, anecdote on her experience talking with somebody about Medicare for All. Check this out.
And it will blow your socks off. The data is all on our...
I apologize for I saw the audio just explode on my screen. Turn this down a little bit. All right.
side. Single payer healthcare is going to lower the cost of healthcare for every single person in this country. And not only I know you guys know this, so I'm going to end this with an anecdote. I live in Northwest Austin, and my district is gerrymandered, goes all the way up to one of the largest military base in the United States. So I went to many veterans meetings, and when you walk into a veterans meeting, this is not a Democratic meeting, this is not a Republican meeting, it's a mix, and you're out there just telling about yourself. The very first time I met this gentleman who was extreme right wing, he came up to me at the end of the meeting and he said, I am going to do everything in my power to make sure you do not win. Funny enough, I went to many, veterans events, and I explained single payer healthcare over and over again. Remember, these are to most people who have already healthcare, right? They have the VA system. But the third time I met that gentleman, he came up to me and he said, I want to talk to you. And I told one of my volunteer friends that was with me, I said, hey, can you talk to him? Because I'm not going to win his vote. He just wants to, harass me here. And he told that guy, he said, I know Donna doesn't want to talk to me, but I really want to talk to her. And so after everybody left, because, I would stand around and talk to everybody, he was still there. And I was dreading it. I was like, oh my God, I have to go talk to this guy. And he came up to me and he says, so you mean, and then he explains Medicare for All to me in detail, back to me. And he says, you mean this is what you're proposing? And I said, yes, that's exactly what I'm proposing. And he ended the conversation with, I can get on board with that.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's great. That's like the perfect story to end this whole thing with. Not the whole show, but like this segment.
All right, goodbye, everyone. Take care.
Awesome. This is how I feel. I mean, if you're able to talk to people one-on-one on these issues, then you can convince them. The issue, of course, is that the vast majority of voters don't have the time, to be fair, don't have the time to invest that much of their energy into these races and really understand who's fighting for them. So that's always going to be an issue that we're up against is how do you convince somebody who is just completely disengaged from politics, who has a very busy life and maybe can't really find the time to go out and vote or even care about this? How do you engage those people and get them out to vote for you? But it's great to see conversations like this where, if you have the time one-on-one to talk to somebody and plant those seeds and wait them out, because you're not going to convince somebody in the moment. But if you plant the seeds and continue up, follow up, have a conversation, like an ongoing conversation with them, then you can absolutely change minds and convince people of what is clearly the best for them. But there's so much misinformation out there that oftentimes people just are reactionaries and are immediately, standoffish when it comes to certain policies that they don't know much about, but would help them if they supported it. I saw somebody say something about my jacket. Black Hawk says, David, you're wearing Vosh's jacket element. I've had that. It's not a white denim. It looks white there. It's actually light blue. But I've had that jacket for ages. So if anything, Vosh is copying me. He must have watched one of my Twitch streams from back when I was wearing that jacket and was like, wow, I should get myself a light colored jean jacket. And then he wore that to the Tim Pool debate. Which, by the way, I enjoyed. The debate with Charlie Kirk. If you guys haven't watched that, I would check it out. Charlie Kirk is he's so dishonest. And Tim Pool, I think I'm making a prediction here. Maybe we'll go back to this in a couple of years. I think Tim Pool is trying to, at least when he has people like Vosh on, he's trying to appeal to the left because he was almost too fair as a moderator in that debate. I mean, I think he fact checked Charlie Kirk a couple times, even sided with Vosh in a couple points, and was like, "Is this the Tim Pool that I've seen before?" But I think he knew that a big chunk of Vosh's audience was watching that and doing his best. Tim Pool was doing his best to try and win some of those people over. Like, if there's one thing that Tim Pool is talented at, it's knowing how to ride the line. Like, he very clearly understands the YouTube's terms of service, never breaks them directly, but always speaks around them. So when speaking about the insurrection, when speaking about the result in the election, when speaking about vaccines, he always dances around the subject in a way that doesn't violate the terms of service, but is still very conservative and reactionary in his responses. But he's very good at pretending to be, a liberal, when clearly the guy is very, at least how he presents content is very conservative. Oh, sorry. I think I missed a chat. Let me grab it. Here we go. T-Types says, can I get a shout out for my Ben Shapiro satire piece? Ben Shapino, an ode to our diminutive prince. Well, there you go. Check it out. I don't know what the satire piece is. Don't know if it's a video or it's a written piece. But there you go. There you go. There's your shout out. Black Caucus says Charlie wouldn't stay on topic. You could tell he was scared. Yeah, I noticed that as well. And then, like, the last half of the debate was really just Charlie Kirk asking Vosh questions. Like, at that point, it was just, okay. I mean, sure, give Vosh a right-wing audience to, pull people from the right over to convince them of rational thought. Nothing wrong with that. Bernard Molly says, David equals TYT light. Thank you for the compliment. Much appreciated. I know you didn't mean it that way. If I had even one staff member, that would benefit me quite a bit. I mean, if I could put out half the content that TYT does, or, cover half the things they do, I just don't have the resources, unfortunately. It's funny because, God, half the people that criticize TYT now clearly haven't watched the show in quite a while. Anna is basically a socialist now, in case you haven't been watching. Cenk is still capitalist. But, if Cenk is the center of the political conversation, I'm perfectly fine with that. He's of course, very anti-corporate in terms of corporate power and money in politics, but still is a capitalist. And basically a socialist. They have, many times really, real disagreements and good discussions on various issues, especially economic issues. Like, it's, and the amount of content they cover, the stories they get to cover, because they have the resources to do so. Like, no one else in this space is able to do that. But it's because they have been doing it for like a decade now. So they've built up they built up the staff, the resources, the ability to cover basically anything they want and do it on a very consistent basis. Olivia Ali says, we need a Canadian TYT. I would agree with you. I think we do. I don't know if the audience is there to really maintain it or to financially support something like that, but I think it would benefit our political discourse here for sure. Any more hot takes? Black Caucus. Jimmy, don't donate to Nina Turner Door. And by the way, it's important to point out, Nina Turner didn't lose because of that, because of any online debates on Twitter. That's, as I went through the numbers earlier, all the working class voted for Nina Turner, but the white suburbs voted for Chantel Brown. I'm the Canadian TYT, says Lawrence. No, I'm not. Don't give me that responsibility. I am not. I don't have the output. I mean, I didn't even cover Cuomo this week. Huge story. But like by the time I got to it, it's like everyone else already covered it. They have all the, like, why do I even cover it? Like it's like a very New York issue. It's like, as long as someone else is covering it, it's fine. You know, if anything, if there's like a state-specific issue, then what I often do is think, should I cover this, or would it make more sense for me to cover what's happening in, say, Alberta? You know, so I actually should cover what's happening in Alberta. I think they're lifting. I haven't read too much into it, but they're lifting COVID protections while COVID numbers are spiking. But you know, it's a conservative province. That's what's going to happen. Typical Canadian says, compare your Jimmy Dore take when you had phoned MR a few years back to now. You know what? I should make that into a video, is what I should actually do. That would be some good patron content, actually. Watch and listen to my call, which would be so cringy. But watch and listen to my call to MR in 2017. In my defense, I was like, it was a tepid defense of Jimmy. It wasn't all in. But it was also back when he wasn't completely insane. I mean, he's clearly changed. There's clips. I posted a clip a couple weeks ago. He was on TYT saying anybody that benefits from Fox News or anyone that's on Fox News should be shamed in society. And now he's on Fox News like every week. So like, he's the one that's changed. But yeah, I should go back and watch that video of me defending Dore in 2017, and discuss what I was trying to say and why I am wrong, clearly wrong, at least in terms of where it went, but also wrong with more knowledge that I've now taken on since that call. I mean, back then, if anyone even knows what I'm talking about, I'm sure most of you haven't even heard the call I made. But I was trying to argue that if you want to change how Jimmy operates, or change, you know, his, like, at the time for the most part, he was covering things that he wasn't, you know, attacking the left the way he does now, but he was putting out some shit that was really ridiculous. But my view at the time was, you know him personally, why not talk to him personally? You know, give him a call and say, hey, Jimmy, you know, I like some of your content, but this video you put out is wrong, and it'd be good if you corrected that, and, you know, maybe don't listen to insane people. Then maybe you can change him from within. That was my thought back then. Having since met him, both in real life and also, you know, we've had discussions, I now know you cannot change that man's mind. You can't. You can be as persuasive as you want, use all the persuasive, like, you could try and be rational with the guy. He's not, he doesn't, he has, I'm not sure what his motivations are, but he has clearly his own motivations that you're not going to change. So I was wrong to think that you could be nice to him and change his mind. But I should go, that's not a bad idea. At least for some bonus content. I should go and do that. Okay, here we go. Here's the dumb shit. Okay. Dark BIM says he gets a working class socialist message onto Fox. Jimmy is not a socialist. It's so obvious if you watch him. He's not a socialist. Like it or not, better than all the pearl clutchers. Serves. Also should mention here, Jimmy was on Tucker Carlson's show a day before the Medicare for All march. Did not mention it once. Now, if that was anybody else, wouldn't they be getting shit from the same people? But no, I saw no criticism at all of him for not even bringing that up. The whole time he was on there, he was attacking the left. He was attacking Congress people on the left. That's all he did on there. So he's not going on there spreading a working class socialist message. He's going on there as a useful idiot, attacking the few allies that the working class has in Congress. Like, if you want, I have no issue with going on Fox News. Nomiki Konst goes on Fox News on a consistent basis. I cover those appearances. She's adversarial with them. She fights them. Bernie Sanders was on Fox News, did a debate. It was fantastic. He talked about Medicare for All, and the crowd was clapping. There was an applause for him discussing how Medicare for All would work. So if you do it right by attacking, by criticizing the bullshit and actually spreading a working class message, then awesome. I would have, if that's what he did, I would have no issue at all with that. But that's not what he does. So like, you can keep telling yourself he's doing one thing, but he's clearly not doing that if you actually watch the appearances and then compare those appearances to Nomiki Konst or compare it to Bernie Sanders or other leftists that have appeared on Fox News. It is a very, very different dynamic. Typical Canadian says that's when I discovered you, when I had that phone call on MR. That's funny. Christina says it's hard watching you and football. LOL. What football game's on right now? Like soccer football or American football? Because Canada won gold this morning, so I can't imagine there's any other matches in the Olympics right now. But maybe Champions League or something. I don't follow European soccer at all, but that's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I could see it being hard to watch me and an intense sport at the same time. Super chat. Nick Coletti says, has your perception of TYT changed in regards to their billionaire funding and baseless smears against Aaron Mate? Their billionaire funding, Jimmy was there when that happened. It was $20 million. It's bad optics. Here's my thought on it. It was simply investment money. So it clearly had no connection to what they were saying on air because I was watching them throughout, before and after the funding. Their content did not change. Their perspectives did not change at all. In fact, Anna became more left. So if anything, it made them more left. But in terms of the appearance of it, yeah, I agree with you. It's not good optics. Like it doesn't. Unfortunately, like it fuels people like you into thinking that they're now changing their content because of it. So in terms of that, I agree with you. It's bad optics. At the same time, it's possible they would have went under without that infusion of cash. So yeah, I don't know what their financials are, so I don't know all that. I mean, they have a staff to pay for, right? Most of us don't have a large staff. In terms of Aaron Mate, I'm sorry. That guy's lost his fucking mind. I am, and I'm someone who, I followed him closely. I've definitely sourced him several times, I'm sure, in my videos over the past 5 years. I have a ton of respect for his father. His father is a very important figure. For psychedelic medicine, is a known figure in Canada. Great guy. But I'm not sure what happened to Aaron. Honestly, I don't know. He's clearly changed. And if you see his tweets, the shit that he defends Dora for is wacky. So I don't know what the connection is there. But it's wild to see how much he's devolved. Fly Chomper Fly says, still coming down for Nina Turner loss. Exhausted from all the canvassing. This is all I can muster. Thank you. Oh, thank you. You didn't have to, but thank you so much. Much appreciated. Yeah. You are the real hero. People like you out there, door knocking, canvassing for Nina Turner. It sucks. Sucks that she lost, but as I said, Cori Bush lost in 2018, came back and won. I think if Nina keeps at it, she runs again. I'm losing my voice now. Then I think she will. I think she can win next time. Definitely losing my voice. All right. What I notice, I really think there's a divide between people who are on Twitter and see these people on a daily basis and people who aren't. Like, if I wasn't on Twitter and didn't see Aaron Matei's tweets or didn't see Glenn Greenwald's tweets or Jimmy Dore's tweets, then I'm sure I may feel like a lot of you, or some of you do, that, you know, these are great journalists that are doing the hard work. And Jimmy Dore, actually, put him aside, you could see his YouTube content. But, you know, Greenwald and Matei, I haven't read anything from them recently, but the way they carry themselves online is just, and the shit they care about and the shit they say is just completely fucking nuts. So again, I don't know what changed with them, but I know I didn't change. I'm the same person I've always been. And in fact, I've become more left in my politics over the past 5 years for sure. So I don't know. I don't try to pretend what their motivations are or know what their motivations are, but their actual output is just, they're saying weird shit. Also, yeah, do we have to bring this up? I mean, you brought it up. A lot of you brought it up. Tulsi Gabbard. If you're going to be a big Medicare for All supporter and act like that's, you know, that's the issue that defines whether or not you care about people or not, then how do you back Tulsi Gabbard, who did not support Medicare for All and in fact supported a health insurance program that would have included private insurers in a big way, not supplemental insurance, but massive. So I don't know how you do that. That's like, I don't know what else to say there. Like, if that isn't obvious enough, if you back Tulsi over Bernie in 2020 and you still trust that person, or you still trust someone who did that, you have to assess, what your feelings are about these people. Like, really think about, why do you still support some of these people who clearly have shown you a million times over in various ways that they are not to be trusted? Black Caucus, David Dole takes funding from Big Super Chat. That's true. Big Super Chat. $5 at a time. Catman says, what are your thoughts on the Gray Zone? I have not read them recently. I've heard some questionable stuff. For me, it's more about the people that write for them as opposed to the actual site. Because again, I haven't gone there recently. I've used them before as a source, probably in the past 2 years. I'm not sure what the story was, but I don't know. I have no real conclusive thoughts because I haven't really engaged with their content. Francisco Pena says, can you just go on Jimmy's show and clear the air and wait for him to post the video a year later? Like, this is something you guys don't know. Jimmy does interviews with people and doesn't post the video sometimes. If he's challenged or feels like it didn't go well, he won't post the discussion. For I think it was a full year, he pretended that they accidentally deleted my discussion when I was on there. I assume because of the conversation I had with Ron on the show. And they didn't post it. And then all of a sudden, oh, we found it. They post a year later. They've done this with Ryan Grimm. I think they did it with David Sirota. They've done it with others who challenged Jimmy. No, I can't trust the guy. And he does everything for clicks, for drama. This is why I discuss this in my live stream. This will not be a separate video. I'm not going to try and monetize any of this. I don't care about platforming any of this drama. I want to focus my show on, the working class, on vaccines, on politics, on culture, on what's going on in Canada, the US. I'm not going to, start getting clicks because I'm starting to make drama. Like, I have no interest in that at all. And by the way, I'd probably get a lot of clicks if I did a whole video on that shit. But I don't have an interest in that. So I don't want to stoop to their level. Another chat came in saying, Freddie says, thank you for all you do. I've shown your videos to my brother, and he's slowly turning around and seeing how Fox and these other figures have truly poisoned the well. Awesome. I love hearing stories like that. Thank you, Freddie. Thank you so much for sharing my content. Winston says gray zone sims for Assad. As I said, I don't read them. I don't know. I will say it's just weird in general. Like, don't you guys find it weird that we're still talking about a single chemical attack from 3 years ago in Syria when Assad has done multiple chemical attacks on his people that are not, nobody disputes those. But there's one they keep talking about from 3 years ago that is still a topic of conversation. Like, why? This is why you have to ask yourself these questions. Why is this even a topic of conversation? By the way, if you want me to respond to something, it's easier if you tag me, because then I'll see my name. But of course, Super Chat gets preference. Sorry. Gotta do it that way. What is this about? Tulsi. Out of Coffee says, Tulsi is not Medicare for all. Is Biden? Which one is anti-DNC? Which one is anti-Zionist? Who is honest about Syria? She is not near perfect, not even close. But the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Too much said there. Definitely nobody's claiming Biden is, which is interesting. Tulsi backed out while Biden and Bernie were still both in the race, and Tulsi backed Joe Biden. If anyone else did this same crowd would be attacking them. If I backed Tulsi Gabbard over Bernie in 2020, and then Tulsi backed out, and first of all, Tulsi didn't support Medicare for all, but then she dropped out and then endorsed Joe Biden. Like, if anyone else did that, they would lose their audience. But some people are just in a cult, apparently. All right, let me go back up. I saw my name tag somewhere. Black Caucus says, drama gets views. We are glad you don't go down in the gutter like they do. We love you and your content for you. Thanks for the show today. Hope your weekend is good, bruh. Thank you, Black Caucus. Appreciate it. Francisco says, thanks for being so honest. I admire you. Oh, thank you. I will only ever talk about this shit in live streams. So that's where you're going to get this kind of content from me. And yes, I'm losing my voice. All right, probably getting off soon. Tim Bob Dunn says, I was growing my hair with you. I just missed it. Where'd it go? Let's grow my hair with you. I'm in my 30s and want to grow my hair as long as I can before salt and pepper sets in. Every day I think about cutting it. Well, you do you. I just had to cut it for practical reasons. It just was too much to handle. But keep growing it if you like it. If you don't mind the process of managing it, then go right ahead. Ted still says, "Are you still having issues with verification on Twitch?" Yes. As I've discussed, I don't even know what happened 2 months ago now. I was I'm really losing my voice. I lost my partner on Twitch because they claimed that I was streaming my content from Twitch somewhere else when I was not doing that. And I tried to reach out and, rectify the situation, and they never got back to me. So they're surprisingly Twitch worse support than YouTube. So yeah, I mean, luckily I never really relied on Twitch for anything, but it does suck when I know I did nothing wrong and then they deplatform my channel. So I'm not sure I'll ever go back on there unless I have to. It's not, that put a sour taste in my mouth. Francisco says, "David, I follow you since you started. I will say I admire you. Keep informing people about stuff. Keep doing a great job." Thank you so much. And I appreciate the super chat. Tim Bob, thank you for your thumbs up. Blue Knight says, "I love your content. I found you during COVID. I've been hooked since. If you ever go right, I'm going to assume you've been blackmailed." Yeah, you should assume that. Though there's nothing to blackmail me on, so. And I would just end my channel. If there was a situation where I couldn't be myself, I just wouldn't. What's the point then? Then why am I on here? I remember 30 minutes ago, I said I was going to get off. Never happened. Myra D, very generous super chat. Thank you so much, saying that I'm amazing. Wow, that's your opinion, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Chris says, "David, you look younger with the short hair. It looks great, although maybe because I found you when you had short hair." I do think I look younger with short hair too. I agree with that. If I shave the beard completely, I look even younger. Mike says, "You, Crystal, and Kyle are the only ones keeping me sane in these increasingly tumultuous times. Thank you for all you do." Thank you, Mike. Leslie K says, "Am I the only one that doesn't understand the Twitch platform?" It's basically just live streaming. I mean, there are clips after live stream that you can clip out videos, but they don't really promote that stuff the way they promote the actual who's live. So yeah, it definitely operates differently than YouTube. I really only ever used it for discussions like this, like very informal discussions, and playing games. So I didn't use it that much. All right, I think I'm good. Got to get back to my family. So what I will do, though, is direct you to the Humanist Reports website. And let me bring it up. And check out the live stream that I was on this week. I'll likely cut out some clips from that this weekend and post them on my channel as well. But if you want to watch the entire thing, then right here. He also has I love the whole aesthetic to this show. Apart from the discussions and all that, just I'm super into like retro 80s stuff. So this is like right up my alley. In fact, when I first saw this, I was kind of jealous. Like, why didn't I think of this? This is a brilliant aesthetic, but amazing. Anyways, check out the discussion on there. I'm on with a bunch of cool people. We had a discussion about many things, including, maybe it's in here. a little bit. But yeah, we just discussed Nina Turner's loss, and I kind of elaborated on my video on Nina Turner, which I focused it mostly on the big money, but there were other parts that are worth mentioning in that loss, including mistakes that were made. But discuss that, I forget, COVID, a whole bunch of stuff. So check out The Humanist Report, Dystopian Times, episode 005. And yeah, it was a great time. Let me grab the last bit of super chats and then jump out of here. Fanders says, congratulations to Canada. I was hoping for Sweden, but that's okay. Yeah, it was the kind of thing where it's like, I'm cool. Obviously, I want Canada when I'm Canadian. But if Sweden wins, I assume they haven't won gold, at least not in a while if they have. So, if Sweden won, then awesome. But, it was a rare time where the U.S. didn't make it to the final. So really cool to see Canada pull out that gold victory. Bobby Vincent, Dole's content is legit. Thank you so much. I like that. And you know what? That's a good place to end. So thank you all for showing up. I will, of course, be back next week. And check out videos on the channel over the course of the weekend, including stuff cut out of this stream and also some clips, more than likely, from Dystopian Times. All right. Thank you all, and see you later. Goodbye.